Welcome back to College Conversations. I'm Dr. Fedor, and I help you navigate college. Please remember to hit subscribe, like, and share this video with other students who might also find it helpful. Today, I have with me Robert Johnson, Executive Director of Multicultural Affairs, here to talk about why it's important to find your why.
Thank you. I really appreciate you inviting me to your platform to connect with students who are looking to elevate themselves through education. I remember for myself, some of the most uncertain and quote unquote lost times were my teen years and early 20s. So I'm extremely excited to hopefully offer some guidance to some of the students out there and even professionals.
First, can you share with me, how did you personally find your why? If you don't mind sharing that story.
It's a long one, so I hope you're in for the long haul. The one thing that I explain to the students that I work with and just people in general, my why was developed. It shifted. And it's fluid, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yes.
A lot of times people think that you have to have the singular thing that drives and motivates you, but it can be multi-layered. It can be a multitude of things. It could be family. It could be just your own personal self-development. It could be something external, right? We as humans, we're complex beings, right? So it's not a one size fits all. I've gone through the ebbs and flows of, again, feeling like I didn't have clarity in what it is that I wanted to do, feeling as though maybe I wasn't capable enough as you're going through the obstacles of pursuing particularly higher education, and coming from a place where education wasn't always prioritized in my life. I had to prioritize it for myself because I hadn't known that. Like, that wasn't a cultural thing for me or anybody that I grew up with or grew up around. Like, education, it was always about you work, right? We come from a working class family. I had to really shift my own perspective and views and values on why education is important. I think for me, one of my whys is the fact that my grandfather, I don't believe he even made it to middle school. Neither one of my parents graduated high school. So when that information was given to me as a kid, one of two things happens, right? You become that, right? And you allow that to define you, or you allow that to drive you to do more. And for me, it drove me to do a little bit more. Luckily for me, I also had siblings. You know, my siblings, they were very, very adamant about pursuing education, even though our parents hadn't pursued education, right? So my two older sisters have their doctorates. My older brother, he and I are super, super close, and he guided me all throughout my adolescence and college, and mentored me and coached me up. Seeing my parents work and seeing the environment and atmosphere that I'm originally from, I also want to be able to give back and educate and allow people to know that despite coming from an area that's under-resourced, that getting to this point in life is possible, right? That's a why for me. That's something that drives and motivates me to prove. Just because you're from the city of Poughkeepsie, New York, like, there's good that comes out of that city. There's good that comes out of that town, despite the negative things and the labels that are put on our city. Again, I have a multitude of different whys, and I can't just pick one. And I love that, because when I lose motivation in one area, those other things, they pick up the slack.
And that's so great. And that's so very important. And I think most of us have a multitude of whys that drive us and motivate us. And you're right. It is a nuanced way of looking at things and of being motivated and staying motivated. When I listened to your speech earlier about embracing struggles and adversity, and of course, all of us have struggles and adversity, and there's so many times when you're thinking to yourself, why is this happening? You know, of course, you want it to be easier than it is, you know, and you know, who doesn't want it to be easier? But I liked what you had to say about challenging ourselves to embrace our struggles and adversity and learn from that. Can you comment on that?
When you shift from a why me to a why not me, it changes the entire journey. Because when you're constantly asking why me, you are internalizing victimhood, right?
Yes.
And that's not to say that, like, you don't have the right to be stressed out or emotional about whatever it is that you're going through, but are you going to allow that to define what is going to happen next? Because we all have control over what the next step is, or our own decisions. And I always say control the control the controllables, right?
Right.
And let the rest of the chips fall where they may. For me, I've had to shift my perspective to why not me? If I am going to be the person in my family, or if I am going to be the individual that I aspire to be, no one told me that it was going to come without struggles and
Right.
challenge. Like no one, if anything, they told me that it would, and then some.
Right.
So if I am aware of this, if I am honest with myself and my ability to overcome said struggles or said circumstances, it makes it easier because I know that I have the capability and the resilience and perseverance to push past whatever the obstacle is, right? The obstacles will always be there. Again, that's the human experience. That's the human condition. It's what you
Right.
do in the face of the obstacle or the challenge and how you view it and your attitude and disposition in the midst of it. That is what will determine if you are who you like. Are you who you say you are? I ask my students that question all the time, right? If you say you're a good person, do you have actions that reflect those qualities? And oftentimes in our society, we tell ourselves lies about who we are and what we, if we're just honest,
Yeah.
if we are transparent with others and ourselves and say, hey, I have some deficiencies, that's when we can grow. But
Right.
oftentimes, if we continue to tell ourselves lies, we can't find our purpose and we can't find our why because we don't know how to persevere internally through those struggles, right? You have to be able to assess where you are and then make those small incremental changes. And one day you'll wake up and, you come out on the other side of it more refined. That's what I said in my speech. Like you come out as a diamond, right? You come out not a lump of coal anymore, right? Because you've
Right.
been through the pressures of life and you know how to navigate it. And I think once you get to that point, you have a certain sense of confidence. I wasn't always confident. And even if there's an area or a space that I'm not in, I know I'm willing to do what it takes to learn that space and navigate that space and be the best that I can be. Again, you have this sense of confidence and swagger about yourself after a while, and you walk in that purpose, like just so confidently and without the limitations of other people lingering in your mind.
So I like what you had to say about shifting the paradigm from why me, which is a victim mentality, to why not me? And looking on the bright side, being positive. Do you have any advice for students who are coming from, like, maybe this is their first time in college, they're their first person in their family to go to college?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I work with students in a multitude of different community-based organizations and high schools, essentially guiding them through those difficulties, right? I think the first thing is it's easier said than done, but don't overthink it. It's very easy as you're going through your college search process, as well as finding your purpose and the college journey in general, to overthink what it is that you're supposed to be doing. A lot of times the roadmap is laid out for you. We have these glamorous expectations of what it should look like when it's not as glittery as we thought it would be, right? For instance, if you're a first generation student or you're underrepresented student in general, because that's the immediate group of students that I work with, it's very easy to get in your own head about assumptions and stereotypes that other people have about you, right? Just because you've been labeled, insert whatever negative assumption, right? Especially when you're coming from maybe an environment, a family, or a space of lack, you begin to compare yourself to other students who seem to be having so much more success. You can't do that. You cannot do that. I say run your own race at your own pace.
Right. No, that's good. Run your own race at your own pace. I like that.
We've seen it before, right? If you're running the race faster than you're supposed to be, but looking at somebody else at the same time, you're going to fall. That's a real thing, right? My first bit of advice is do not overthink. You can't overthink the process and assume that other people aren't looking to support and help you, because there are purpose-driven people out there that want to support you. The second bit of advice that I really want to give as you go through your journey and start to realize, like, oh, wow, I actually am capable of writing this 15-page paper, right?
Yeah.
Or researching or assessing and collecting data and doing all of these things that might not have been a norm in your environment where you come from, but now is a norm in this new space of higher education. The beauty of it is that you can take aspects of who you were, like all of the best aspects or
Right,
the best parts of me from the city of Poughkeepsie and
right.
bring them to a Sacred Heart, right? That's what I did. And people notice that and they value that. And when they notice and value that, you will be elevated, you will be celebrated in that area, in that community, because only you could have done that. And this is how I even feel about myself. There will never be another you, right?
Right.
And that, like, that's special to me. That's unique to me in the time frame. Even if there was a duplicated you, it wouldn't be in the same time frame. Like even if you're a twin, you two don't think exactly the same. So, and I say that to say those are the strengths that you have when you're able to take who you are, or quote unquote were, from
Right.
where you're originally from, and go into a new place and a new environment and contribute to that new environment in a very unique way, because only you have your perspective, right? Only you know your life's experience, but you have to be willing and able to then pour into that community and then accept the rewards that come with it after.
I like that. And it underscores the idea that all students have something to offer. Everyone has
Yes.
something to offer. Everyone brings something to the table.
Yes.
I like what you said about asking for help. Asking for help is a sign of strength. I want the students to know nobody goes through college without asking for help. It's too many years. It's too complex. Everyone needs help at some point. There's a lot to it. So everyone, I don't care how sophisticated you are, has asked for help at some point in their college journey, because there is so much and it is complicated and there's so much to take in and to learn.
It's easy to trick yourself into thinking you are doing this entire thing alone. And again, even I acknowledge that even getting to this point here and now, I didn't do it on my own. I always shout out the people that gave me a chance when I
Right.
needed it most, or gave me an opportunity when no one else would. Again, those are other purpose-driven people that when they see your growth and they see your development and they see that you are not only trying, but succeeding, they will make sure that you have that opportunity.
So if I can recap this, why it's important to find your why, I feel like once an individual finds their why, it's like other things will fall into place, right? So you
Yes.
have your thing that motivates you, and why you want to pursue a degree. Maybe that leads to what kind of job you want to have, what kind of career you want to have, and that finding your purpose in life and so forth, finding out why it's important to find your why. It's because once you do that, you've got your North Star, you've got your guiding light.
Yes.
Other
Yes.
things will fall into place, and then it'll, make those things a little bit easier. I also wanted to add, it's courageous to start on a college journey, and nobody has everything figured out from day one. You don't have to have everything answered from day one, because things are going to change. You may go along for a few semesters and find out that, you want to change majors or add a minor or
Yes.
something. And that is so normal, right, to the college experience. And that's what college is all about, finding out new opportunities and exposing yourself to different subjects and so forth. And so that's all part of your journey too. And hopefully that helps some students figure out their why.
Absolutely. You are more than just an accounting major. You're more than just a psych major or education major, right? You have superpowers, gifts, abilities that you can contribute to not only your college campus, but to the world. But you have to activate those gifts when you go into those spaces. Once you've defined your why, that's when that journey begins.
I think we'll end there. For more help navigating college, please check out my course on Udemy, College 101, How College Works, where I go into even more detail on how to navigate college. And as always, remember to keep learning.